One of the things I really feel strongly about is that, again, God really wants to emphasize to his body, to his people, to his beloved, that he, again, could have created anybody the way he wanted to create them. But because you are the way that you are, that is an indication and confirmation that God has uniquely handcrafted you the way that you are. I'll give you an example. If God would not have created Dan and Tammy the way he created them, I wouldn't have been able to hear from God through anybody else but those guys. I want you to hear that. All right, so when God creates you, and he created you, there are people that will not be able to hear his voice through anybody else but you, which is why he created you. Please understand that. Please don't think that somehow it's random. No, he handcrafted you. The Bible tells us, real quickly, he tells us this, that he created us, he knitted us together in our mother's womb. And that every single thought that he has toward us are precious. So it's impossible for God to think a negative thought about you. And David said, if I was to outnumber the positive ways in which God thinks about me, they would outnumber the grains of sand. So we need to really allow the Spirit of God to let that permeate in your soul. You are where you are because there's people that will not be able to hear from God through anybody else but you. I wish it was different, but I'm sorry, you're it. I know. I know. Because all we do is think about why we shouldn't be here and why we shouldn't be speaking about God. I understand, believe me, trust a brother, I get you. But it's imperative to understand that all the mess that you think that you're in, God has allowed his son to be the nucleus of everything that's unholy in our lives. Not just the symptoms. We are the symptoms of a fallen nature. Jesus became the nucleus of the reason behind the fallen nature. So anything that you can come up with why you should not be used by God, Jesus already covered on the cross. So please don't allow the enemy to lie to you and say, okay, gosh, man, because what you did last week, what you did last night. Hear my heart when I say this. Listen to me. You are exactly who you're supposed to be. If Peter wouldn't have failed the way he failed, he wouldn't have been the man that God allowed him to be. So please understand that God's got you. Matter of fact, I'll say this, he's depending upon you. I know God doesn't need anything, but I'm telling you, he uniquely handcrafted you for a time such as this. Like I said before, this world desperately needs to see him. Desperately need to see Jesus. There's no other answer. Governments can come up with what they want to come up with, but when the smoke clears, the reason why you are in this room is because you saw Jesus in somebody. And so the same thing happens with you, with other people. They see him. Don't let the enemy lie to you and say that and think that he does. They don't, because they do. Believe me.